Hey there, Internet. Keeve here, and welcome to the Cars and Keeve YouTube channel. And in this video, we're going to the FS-TFC portable deionization system. So I picked this up a couple months ago, and I wasn't going to review it till closer to spring. So here we are. We're almost in March, and this is a very different type of system. Now, we've seen these before, inline filters that you can just kind of connect your garden hose to, through it, wash your car, but they're usually much smaller than these. These are very big at 4 inches a piece. You can see the size of this. There is a lot of resin in this setup. Now, we don't really know how much resin because these are sealed canisters. They are not refillable, which means when they deplete, you will need to replace them with new filters. The problem is if this company ever stops making these or selling these, you might be in a bit of a pickle. And I've tried to find canisters of this size that are refillable to be able to use for this, and I haven't been able to find any. Now, right now, this is $149.99 on Amazon. A couple months ago, it cost me $149.99. But it says the real price is $169.99, but it's so many percent off. Well, it's been that way for months. So I'm pretty sure the target for this is 150 bucks. And for everything that you get, I think it's a pretty dang good deal because you're getting about 6 pounds of resin. Plus, you're getting all of the canisters that are already pre-filled, ready for you, all of the attachments, all the quick connects, everything you need is here. Now, they don't state what the max flow is for this system, but I'm going to say to stay at 2 gallons per minute or less. I see our Spotless 10-inch system holds about 7 to 7.5 pounds of resin. Now, can it get to 2 gallons per minute? I don't know, but we're going to find out later. I don't know what kind of restrictions there are between all of this equipment till we get to that point. Now, I have 60 ppm water. I'm very lucky. That's very good quality water. And they're listing 60 ppm will get 540 gallons, which for the amount of resin here in this system, that's very good. I don't know if it's going to do that, but we'll find out in this video. Get an HM Digital TDS meter. I'll link it below. It's the one we're going to use in this video. It's very accurate. Find out your ppm. Know what you're getting into. There's been many people who did not do that, got into this, spent money, and the system they had, it just isn't enough for the quality of water that they have. Now, on their listing, 540 gallons for 60 ppm. The way it works on almost any chart is once they tell you what ppm is and how many gallons, basically every time you double the ppm up, you're going to cut your gallons in half. So if I at 60 ppm, I do 540 gallons, and I go to 120 ppm, I'm going to go to 270 gallons. And we're going to continue to get further away, and it's going to get very costly. Now, the national average is in the mid 200s, so more than half of you are more than likely going to have water that this is going to be able to handle. Now, at 200 something versus my 60, I'm going to be replacing these much less than you would. As your parts per million gets to about 5, it's time to order your refills. You can go up to about 10, some say 20. I prefer 10 is 10 to 15. Now, this all came just like this in the box. So the whole bracket system, all 4 filters, all of this is all put together in the box. They do give you an extra input, and they give you 4 extra quick connects. So you find your input where the water hose is going in. We go to the opposite side. We go ahead and click in a quick connect. We're just going to go down because that's the way the instructions are. So now we'll put our quick connect on that output side. We can't go into the input side of the garden hose. We can't come across at an angle, so we can only go directly across. We find the end of that one. We're here. We have nowhere else to go than up. So now our output is right here. The hose is either way, so you just pick whatever end you want to be the output. Then we hook the quick connect to our sprayer. The trigger on the gun has tension. Doesn't feel bad. It is kind of plasticky, but it does have a very nice rubbery grip with a lot of slits on them that are very thin. So they're very bendable. So it feels really good in the hand. The adjustment has really nice tension. So when you set it, it's not going to move. So how do I know how much is in there? Because they don't state it. Well, I bought an extra refill just to cut it up because I initially thought these may be refillable because of the way that design on the one filter looks like it's a cap. What is a cap? But in the manufacturing process, they kind of seal these together. It has the foam filter like every other DI filter has on that output side so the resin doesn't get out. You have a little bit of a filter on the input side, and they just join together. And there's your 1.5 pounds of resin. Well, that's the overview. Before we get any further into the video, don't forget to check out the links below for anything in the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get to the testing. All right, we got our little travel setup done. Now, initially this first hookup to just test to see how it sprays, the way it's connected and all, and if we get 0 ppm that way. Once we can prove that, then we move on. I have another hose here, another Flexzilla hose that I'm gonna hook up, and it's gonna run to my storage outside. It holds about 500 gallons. because we don't want to waste water. And one thing I noticed on the input side, that adapter didn't have a female swivel to hook up to a hose, which doesn't work very well because the male end of the hose usually doesn't have a swivel. So when you try to screw them together, but the thread looked kind of off. It didn't look like a garden hose thread. So I took it off, and the threading on the actual filter itself on the female side accepts a garden hose pretty easily. So I put my Ely Quick Connect right there. I have my Ely hose that I can just hook right up. Has a shut off on it. I can use it to turn it off and on, but I can also use it to regulate the flow. I have a meter over there on the wall that tells me how many gallons per minute. It's usually within 5%, so it's pretty accurate. So for the bigger hose here, I have a Gardena style Quick Connect like theirs that hooked up to the male side of this. That's just gonna snap in there. I'll leave a link below for that Quick Connect as well. Well, I guess first things first is to see out of the box, was everything tightened up and does it leak? Looks like we have just one leak right there. Let's see if we can tighten that one down. Yeah, that one's a little loose. Check out the spray pattern. You have that. That's basically the jet. Let's go back. There's fan and mist. Now this one's leaking. Oh my God. Wow. Maybe we can switch them around. Let's replace this one. Ones with extras. We're going to see if that busts. This one seems to be holding. Let me make sure. I'm going to turn it just a little bit. Put a little wiggle jiggle in it. Okay, that one's better. So they gave you extras in that baggie I showed you earlier. I replaced this one with it. It is 0 ppm water. All right. All right, here's our incoming water. Now our ppm coming out of the faucet is 59 ppm. Now this is the HM Digital TDS meter that I mentioned earlier. It's about 15 bucks. This is calibratable. You can actually buy calibration fluid to make sure that it's accurate. There's a screw on the back that you can adjust to make sure that it's right. It can tell you, hey, maybe that's why you have appliances that are failing in the house that use water. Maybe there's a reason why your pressure washer blew up earlier or something like that. Maybe you have 400 or 500 ppm water because that stuff does damage. Now I'm going to shut off again, drain it out. I'm going to hook up this hose right here so we can run it full blast without this restrictive hose here or this sprayer. We have uninterrupted flow now. Let's check out the gallons per minute. Wow. 1.44 gallons per minute. So if you're running a small Ryobi machine, that might be enough. It should be okay. I don't really know. I still prefer not to use it with a pressure washer. We're all hooked up to the storage outside. I took the ramp off of my Swiss track so that way the hose can go under the door uninterrupted. I put 5,000 gallons through that thing so far. Oh my gosh. So I've let it run for a little bit to check the gallons per minute over a little bit longer period of time. And the main reason I do that is just to verify, to make sure that it doesn't drop too much, because a lot of these systems starts out kind of high and they'll continue to drop over time. We extended the hose a little bit to our bladder. We couldn't quite reach it with the 50-footer that we had here, and that could have impacted it a little bit, but we're like at 1.25 gallons per minute. So I for sure would not use this with any pressure washer unless you're trying to use it with like a handheld Ryobi that does like 600 PSI or one of those lower PSI systems. It might be really good for that, but for a bigger machine, I wouldn't suggest it. So here's our 500 gallon storage. You can see that water came out. You'll see in the bloopers, I left the valve open. It's now closed. It is running just fine. Our hose is coming from over this way. We have a guest appearance by my cat through the window there. But this thing is just gonna blow up like a big old pillow. But this is how we save water. I have a pump right there, 3.5 gallon per minute pump that will pump that back through my system. So I'll be able to use that water for later, or I'll use it to water the grass. Here's that flow, and you can actually see it's gone down a little bit. It's fluctuating between 1.15. Sometimes it goes up in the 122 range. We're at 196.7 gallons. Here's our sample of water. 0 ppm. And here is the progress. See, it's starting to build up as a pillow. This thing's dirty. I'm glad I'm filling it up so I can pressure wash this thing off. It's been sitting all winter. Checking in again, as you can see, we're still bouncing between that 1.15, 1.22 gallons per minute. And we're at 307.68 gallons. Oh, we're at 1 ppm now. So we gotta watch it a little bit closer now. We are now at 358 gallons. 2 ppm. So we grew 1 ppm over 50 gallons. So we still got a long way to go. Time for our 400 gallon check-in. We're still running that same gallons per minute. And 410 gallons. 3 ppm. Nice and consistent. We just crossed 500 gallons. 6 ppm. So there's the big pillow, and you can see it overflowed just a little bit because it's on an incline. 500 gallons, it's not going to fill it up. It's going to overflow a little bit. Why do we have the hood here? Well, I felt earlier we didn't give enough emphasis on the spray pattern and how it reacts off of an actual panel itself. So personally, I would prefer something like this. DI water is used for many things. You could use DI water for making ice, clear ice. You could use it to fill your golf cart batteries up. You can use it to fill your coolant up. You can use it to mix your pesticides and herbicides for your grass, chemicals, all that kind of stuff. It's not just for Spotless water. So we're gonna try the Orbit. This is one of the best garden sprayers on the market. It's actually one of the cheaper ones, about 20 bucks. It's really freaking good. It's really good. So the whole point of the Spotless rinse, that final rinse, is to get all that hard water off the surface and replace it with Spotless water. So on the Orbit, the V-sweep works really well for that. Much less mist, more of a soaking, drenching, but it still has pressure. But let's check shower. Now, obviously, because of the lower GPM, this isn't going to shoot very far, but if you really need that soaking, drenching, this is what's going to work. You see right there? It's like rainwater. We are easily replacing that hard water, especially on a vertical panel, very easily and much quicker. So that brings us to the hard part, is because this actually does really good. But there's a con here to this whole setup that just is really worrisome to me, and that's the proprietary filter. And having a proprietary, you have two problems. If they go out of business, how are you going to get refills? And could they dictate price if this becomes popular? They're going to raise the prices on the refills. Then is it affordable anymore? There's so many good things too. 500 gallons on my 59 ppm water, and that was at 6 ppm. We could have gone more. We definitely were within what they said it can do. Obviously, everybody's water is different depending on the chemical makeup of your water, what minerals are in your water. For me, the performance, it performed spot on what I would have expected out of a good resin. You have portability. It comes with everything. In the end though, would I buy it? Probably not. The uncertainty of the refills is just a too big of a risk for me. This is a great concept, but if these would have been refillable containers, A1 buy all day long. Like, they should have thought about that. They would have sold so much more volume of these versus trying to keep people into some kind of a refill subscription, almost kind of, you guys got to keep coming back, Maybe I'll be able to figure out a setup for that down the road that we can do ourselves using refillable containers. I'll be working on that. So don't forget to check out the links below for anything in the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Here's our sample of the water. Here's our sample. Here's our sample. Oh my gosh. But we're gonna let this fill up over time. It's just, oh, I've got the valve open. So I picked this up a couple months ago So I picked this up a couple months ago and oh my gosh, I can't. So I picked this up a couple months ago. So I picked this up a couple months ago. I think I'm saying it right. I think I'm just talking too dang fast. Now they don't state what the max flow is for this setup. So now they don't state what the max, now they don't state up, golly, to know like the gallons per minute that's going through the machine. The machine? It's not a machine. Oh, thing hooked. Oh my gosh, look at that. Stupid pliers. Whoa.